Here's the skull of King Richard III, but what can you tell me about his table manners just by looking at it?
Well, he's very good at eating Toblerone.
Anything else you can tell? What's unusual about his teeth compared to ours?
Space for a straw, that would
Space
be.
for a straw, yes. Notice your teeth, the top row and the bottom row. Close your mouth, naturally.
Yeah.
Your top row.
Yeah.
Overbite. We've all got an overbite. Cruelly called by Billy Crystal in When Harry Met Sally. Dancing white man's overbite. But the actual overbite, literally like that, is a recent thing in human beings. And it comes after forks, because we cut up our food. And in the days when we wrenched our food, the incisors would get smoothed down more and the teeth would fit exactly. And it shows that Richard III didn't use a fork for cutting his food, which we know, because forks were not used for transferring food to your mouth. Right up to Tudor times, you would use your hands.
So if we brought up children without knives and forks, they wouldn't develop an overbite?
No.
You know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to come back here in 20 minutes' time.
Call me a liar.
With a really resentful-looking boy.
Well, I've got twins, so I'm going to do one.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And have the perfect experiment.
It is superb. Unethical, but perfect. And you can sort of show this by the difference in civilizations who developed overbites. And 1,000 years ago, you can see where Chinese aristocratic skulls have an overbite, but peasants don't. And it's when they started to use chopsticks and chop up their food, and then it spread throughout the population. So it really does... It sounds weird, but this overbite we have is an acquired characteristic because of our chopping up of food. You can just tell by looking at skulls. You just go through any graveyard, dig people up, and you'll see I'm right,
Stephen Fry told me to do it.
Yeah.
While I'm chewing on a turtle. Really bad influence.
I'm going to start with you. Are you normal or weird?
I think I'm normal, Sandy.
Weird. Feel bad. Yes, you are weird. Anybody here normal?
I would say I'll go weird.
Yes, normal. Do you feel normal, Lolly?
I feel very much at home here.
OK. You must have a strange house, but there we are. What about you, Richard? Normal?
I'm going to go out on a crazy limb and say maybe I'm a little bit weird.
Yes, the fact is nobody is normal. So, say you took an average of every single person here in this room, and we took height and shoe size and collar size and all those things, you won't find anybody who's average in all respects. It just doesn't exist. And it's called the jaggedness principle. And it really matters. So in the 1940s, the US Air Force, they thought, I know what we'll do. We'll design a cockpit that fits absolutely everybody.
The cockpit has yet to be designed.
Yes, that is.
That will fit my proportion.
In what way?
Oh, in a plane.
In a plane.
How embarrassing. I thought you were talking about...
Yes, I tried so hard with you boys. So they took the measurements of over 4,000 pilots and they designed this cockpit seat based on these 10 different body measurements, and it didn't fit a single pilot because there isn't any such thing as normal, and in the end they had to develop the adjustable seat for aeroplanes because of the jaggedness principle. So trying to find an average person is unbelievably difficult. The Australian Bureau of Statistics used the national census to try and find an average Australian. So here's what they announced. She was a 37-year-old woman. She had a son and daughter. He was 6 and she was 9. The woman is 5'4" and 11 stone. She's got a 3-bedroom house with about £200,000 left on the mortgage. Her family came originally from the UK. That is the average Australian. And then they couldn't find a single person in the entire country who matched it.
I think it's me.
Well, are you 5'4"?
Yeah.
Are you Australian? We were so close.
You know.
OK, try this one, all right? So this is a 2014 dating site. They surveyed 2,000 London men. So the ideal London woman, here's what she looks like. 5'6".
5'4".
5'4", OK. 9 stone, 34C bust, drinks white wine, has no tattoos and supports Tottenham.
No wonder she's single.
Yeah, well... I've got more on her. I've got more. Brown hair. Brown hair. She drove an Audi TT. She was either a nurse or a teacher. She liked roast dinners. She had an exotic foreign accent. She loved Dirty Dancing, the movie, and the top television show was Friends.
Oh, she sounds like an idiot.
She does.
That's what a man's really looking for in a woman, somebody who likes Dirty Dancing. It's so rare to find.
I know.
I don't think I have any of those
Don't have
qualities.
brown hair.
It's kind of black.
OK. So, if you're not normal, you could be weird. In fact, we are all at the table weird. It stands for Western educated from industrialised, rich, democratic countries. So why might that be a problem?
The problem is because they're missing the C off the end of weird. Yeah, countries.
Oh,
So the
I see.
accent works pretty
Doesn't
well.
really scan, though, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Weird.
So the problem is that whenever we do sociological research or psychological research, 96% of the people who participate in these kind of studies, they're usually students, are weird, even though that only represents 12% of the world's population.
Surely normal could be an acronym for something.
Yes.
Yes,
couldn't it?
what could it be?
It ends in Arsenal loving. I know that. I'm just trying to...
Yeah, and the C's for something else, though.
One of the least effective spies, Britain's Michael Bettany, hired by MI5 in 1982. He once tried to dodge a ticket on a train while drunk, and when a guard chased him, he shouted, "You can't arrest me, I'm a spy."
It's so easy to overestimate the
I know.
efficacy of the double bluff, isn't it?
Yes. Well, he later tried to get in touch with the KGB to sell them some documents, and the KGB thought they were being set up, and they informed MI5 of his treachery. So he was just rubbish.
Look, that is the worst Buddy Rabbit you've ever seen.
Probably the worst spying operation happened in 1940, and this is one of my favourites. A dozen German spies landed in Britain, and they were all caught almost immediately. One walked into a pub and asked for a pint of cider soon after 9 o'clock in the morning. They weren't allowed to serve alcohol before lunch.
Half a litre of cider?
Straight away, please. Another couple were stopped while cycling through Scotland on the wrong side of the road, and when they looked in their bags, they found to contain German sausages and Nivea hand cream. And I
What a
thought...
combination!
I know!
It's 9 o'clock in the morning! I've had a cider, Hans.
I thought it was because no British soldier would have hand cream, but it turns out Nivea's German. I didn't know that.
Is it?
It's German.
Oh.
One of them spoke no English at all, but the one who spoke English the best said his mission was to find out how the people is living, how many soldiers there are, and all the things.
I know it was a documentary, basically.
There are some people who think they were deliberately sent by senior German officers to sabotage the plot because they didn't want to invade Britain. But,
That's the Germans for you. At the time. At the time. A lot of them have mended their ways since.
For our friends in Berlin, Richard's address is... this man about to post.
A letter.
Yeah.
Is he about to post a Movember selfie on Facebook?
No, it's just the most extraordinary thing. He's about to post himself.
Is he?
Yeah. His name is Willie Reginald Bray. He was also known as the Human Letter. He was an eccentric gentleman who spent his entire life pushing the British Post Office to their absolute limits. And he started by sending unwrapped stamped objects to himself. See how that would go. So he sent a shirt collar and a half-smoked cigar. That's him actually posting onions on the right there. And almost all of it got through without any trouble at all, so he began to experiment. He wrote to any resident of London. There it is, any resident of London. Sadly, that was rejected, insufficiently addressed. But he did get his mother to crochet the address, and that was accepted. And he also wrote the address in mirror writing, and that was also accepted. And then, finally, he sent himself through the post and shipped himself to his father, and there's his rather irritated father receiving him. Then he decided to build the world's largest collection of autographs. He wrote to the Reichstag in Germany. So many times there's a letter back from Adolf Hitler's office. Please, can you stop sending letters? The Fuhrer's quite busy.
What if that finally pushed Hitler over the edge?
Yeah.
As I say, a lot of them these days very different. A very different country.
Yeah. Just keep digging that hole there, Richard.
It's not a hole, it's a trench. I'm just saying keep an eye on them. That's all I'm saying.
Right, moving on. Thanks, keep in this basket.
You get those if you go fruit picking. baskets like that.
Yes, you do, but not it's this particular basket.
It looks a bit like a building to me.
It is a building. It is exactly right. What you'd keep in it is a basket-making company. It is a 7-storey picnic basket. It was built as the headquarters for a basket-making company called Longaberger Company. It was the brainchild of Mr. Dave Longaberger, and at one point the architects tried to talk him out of it. They said it was a very bad idea. And he said, if they can put a man on the moon, they can certainly build a building that's shaped like a basket.
You say brainchild?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Longaberger no longer with us, and the Longaberger Company has downsized and relocated. It's rather sad, isn't it?
Was he buried in a coffin made in a massive coffin-shaped factory?
Yeah. What do you think gets made in this building? So it's the middle bit that we're really interested in, the sort of the very long bit. What do you think?
Now, is that the rope-making place in Chatham?
It is absolutely the rope-making place in Chatham. Rope has been made there since 1618. And it's where all the strands are woven together to make the rope.
I know it because I've been in it.
Have you? Why were you in it?
We're doing a Horizon documentary about how long is a piece of string.
Oh!
And,
That's the sort of thing Horizon ought to be doing. I think that's
they've got a building that's about a quarter of a mile long. The ropes go almost as far as you can see properly. They make very, very long ropes indeed.
They do, and it's really, really tough work. You start the rope-making process by combing the raw hemp fibre across boards with long iron pins. They're called hatchels, and it straightens the fibres. And then they use whale oil to lubricate the fibres, which is known as train oil.
Did you say whale oil?
Whale oil, yes. A whale is part oil. I have a recipe. Do you want more?
Is there a vegan version?
It'd be nice if you could tap into the whale and get some oil without having to drag it out and slice it up.
Yeah, what, like a tap?
Yeah.
What are those things you stick in trees, you know, that
Yes.
you wind in and then the sap comes out?
To get the sap out.
So you could do that with a whale. It wouldn't be pleasant.
No.
If you said to the whale, look, you've got 2 options here.
Yeah.
Either we put a tap on you,
Yeah.
or we slice you into pieces. What's it going to be?
You have to you have to go 5 miles away to hear the answer.
I think he said tap. Let's do it.
I have 4 occupations for you. Deirdre, you are a sewage diver. Richard, you are the Queen's bagpiper. David, you're an ornamental hermit. And Alan, you're bailiff of the Chiltern Hundreds. Which of you has got a real job?
The Chiltern Hundreds is a real place.
Yes, but is the job a real job?
It's an anti-job. It's what you get when you resign as an MP. You join the Chiltern Hundreds.
So it's not really a real job. So 1624, they passed a law saying that nobody can leave Parliament. And it stems from the time when people were elected against their will. So sometimes local gentry were made to join Parliament. They didn't really want to. And the law says technically you have to die, or you have to be voted out, or you have to go and work for the Queen or something. So if you want to retire, you apply for a fictional Crown office called the Steward and Bailiff of the Chiltern Hundreds. And here are some people who have, in their time,
Look at Tony Blair pretending to drink wine.
He brought an empty glass to his lips, and now he's filled it with his special liquid. Then he passes it to the person next to him, they drink it, and then they like him.
So let's go back to the sewage diver. What do you reckon? Did it a real job?
Well, it's a shit job, isn't it?
It is look at that. It is a real thing. So they have
wading they do
There you
than
go,
diving.
yeah.
But that's not a way to resign if you're an MP. You know, so I think that would be quite popular.
That would be a
As
good
a-
way.
I wish to leave politics, so
Yes.
now I will immerse myself in excrement.
Yes.
Hooray!
Who would do this job?
I used to be a sewage diver. It was just going through the motions.
Well, there are sewage farms, and they have sort of moving parts, and when things get stuck, they're fitted with air pipelines. They have to dive in and climb down to fix them.
Oh,
Fitted with air pipelines. I would hope so.
Yes, Just take a deep breath and go for it. I would have thought the worst job is the person who has to clean the suit when they get out.
I don't know. I think I'd go... Presented with that terrible career choice, I think I'd go for cleaning the suit.
What about you, Queen's bagpiper, Richard, is that a real job?
Well, she's got everything, hasn't she? The Queen. So, yeah, gosh, I'd imagine so.
She is really keen on bagpipers, isn't
Well,
she?
she inherited it. Queen Victoria was terribly keen. I mean, mad keen. There was
Mad for the
bagpipes. Yeah. There was no telly then, so, you know, fair enough.
Perhaps it was much easier in the days when all you had to be better than was a bagpiper.
Yeah. 9 o'clock every morning, he plays for 15 minutes underneath her window.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Well, he's been told it's her window. Who knows where she is. They play 50 minutes every day at Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, Balmoral or Holyrood House. They don't play at Sandringham. Anybody know why?
Because she needs a break. That's the Christmas one, isn't it, Sandringham?
Yeah. Well, apparently it's because there isn't enough accommodation.
Sorry, we just don't have the room
No.
for the bagpiper.
One of the things they say...
It's a kind of anti the Christmas story, isn't it?
Very unstable.
And when he's not bagpiping, he's a page of presents, but I have no idea what that is.
A page of presents is Santa's list, isn't it?
I'm going to give you an extra point, because that's the cutest answer anybody's ever given. What about the ornamental hermit, David? What do you reckon?
I think, didn't the sort of very rich, mad aristocrat that built follies might think a folly would be even more fun if it was permanently inhabited by someone employed to sort of be there and be hermit?
You're absolutely right. It was very fashionable in the 18th century, and they liked people to sort of dress up as druids, and they lived in caves. If the landowner couldn't afford a hermit, because, you know, they're pricey, they saved money by having just the hermitage and telling everybody the hermit was out.
Now, identify the world's biggest gas bag.
Oh, Lord. John McCruick.
That's a very good answer.
An actual bag of actual gas.
That would probably be the best way to go, without hinting too much.
I presume something like the Hindenburg, an airship, an enormous airship. Perhaps.
Well, kind of like an airship, yes, though, in fact, even bigger. This is the biggest such device ever constructed
Is
by
it the
man.
one that Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden is involved with?
How extraordinary you are. No. But I'm very impressed that you should know of that.
Now, I met him about 5 years ago. He said he was invested a huge amount of money, and it's about 200 feet, 300 feet long or something. It's absolutely enormous. There's pictures of it. It looks like an arse, the way it's
That's
built.
it. It does. There it is, like an
hangar.
arse.
But it's in a hangar that's so big it has its own climate.
Yes.
Has clouds and all sorts of...
Why, oh, why, oh, why?
Did he do it? Well, because for commercial reasons.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh,
to
it
replace...
goes 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, it's like properly quite impressive.
Have they sorted out the whole, you know, Hindenburg
No,
fiery
they
death
decided
element?
not to worry about it.
It can carry 50 tons. It can stay in the air for 3.5 weeks. But the difference between that and the Hindenburg is, do you know what the...
It's not full of
gas.
hydrogen,
Well, that's it. The Hindenburg and the earlier airships are full of hydrogen, which is incredibly flammable. I mean, not just incredibly or intensely, but incredibly.
Well, that's which is why it blew up.
That's why it blew up, because it was incredibly flammable.
What have I told you about reading Jabberwocky before you present it?
It makes it incredibly dangerous.
So, yes, that was a really good interruption.
Is this a naturally occurring gas bag?
No, it isn't. It is the biggest ever bag of gas created by humankind.
Does it have a purpose? So it has a purpose other than storing the gas?
It had a purpose in as much as it broke 3 records, which are better remembered than this record. What are the 3 records you might think of in terms of a balloon?
Height, distance, and number of deaths.
There were no deaths. There were no deaths in this case.
Is it loudest pop?
Not...
Most excited child?
Who jumped out of a really high balloon?
Oh,
Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Felix Baumgartner is the right answer. This is the... Yeah. So, Felix Baumgartner, there he is. He fell from a greater height than anyone has ever fallen.
Right.
He achieved a greater speed than anyone has fallen, which made him the first man ever to what?
Break the sound barrier.
Break the sound barrier unaided. And it was the highest balloon ascent ever. Those are 3 records. The highest balloon ascent, Biggest free fall.
You know what else it was, Stephen?
What's that?
It was incredibly dangerous.
Incredibly. But it was the largest balloon ever constructed. And let's have a look at how big it was. It was bigoted.
Whoa.
It was bigoted than the Statue of Liberty.
It was more bigoted than the Statue of Liberty.
What is the matter?
What's going on? Just get rid of this one, get another one in.
For a question on screams and screens, how can you make a scary movie even scarier? Did that help?
Darkness, being in the dark.
Where did you get your clues from?
I don't know.
I took my daughter when she was 2 to a pantomime. It started in blackout. Lots and lots of little kids, and it's Jack and the Beanstalk, and all the lights went out, and I could feel her little hands just gripping hold of my arm, and then over the tannoy, fee, fi, bo, fum, and they all burst into tears. They had no idea what was going on. There hadn't even been a bean yet, never mind a stalk, never mind a climbing up, never mind the giant. And then the lights came on and someone from EastEnders went, "Hello, boys and girls." And I had to take her home. It was inconsolable. And she still gets anxious whenever she sees an auditorium of any sort.
Or EastEnders.
I took my my godson Joe when he was 3 to a pantomime, and there was a character in it who turned to the audience and went, "I'm going to eat all the children." And Joe shouted, "He's just kidding, but let's go home anyway." So scary movies, we're talking about a very celebrated showman called William Castle. He used to be known as the Abominable Showman, and he was a B-movie director in the days when there were B-movies. He's the guy on the right there, his friend.
Not the guy in the middle.
No, not the guy in the middle. And he was famous for films like House on the Haunted Hill and The Tingler and so on. And he had the most fantastic gimmicks. So in 1958, he produced a film called Macabre, and every single member of the audience was given a life insurance policy. So you signed it as you entered, and if you died of fright in your seat, your family got given $1,000. Very sadly, nobody...
That's very good.
Nobody did die from this.
Come on, Nana, let's get to the cinema.
He used to keep nurses on standby in case there was something terrible. He would have hearses lining the street outside special showings. He often arrived at a premiere in a coffin himself. And he would employ women to sit in the audience and scream at specific scary moments. So there's a marvellous moment in The Tingler when a character breaks the fourth wall and turns to the audience and says a sort of deadly parasite has escaped into the cinema. And then the people that he'd paid were trained to collapse into screaming hysterics. And hid buzzers in seats to give vibrations at sort of key moments in the film.
It feels like if you Googled The Tingler, something else would come up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
These days, yes. Yeah, that's probably true. He had a film in 1961 called Homicidal, and it had a fright break in it. You were allowed to leave and get a full refund before the terrifying sort of denouement of the entire thing. You had to leave your seat and follow a yellow streak before the entire audience to a special booth called Coward's Corner, and a light shone on you with a recording intoning "Watch the chicken, watch him shiver in Coward's Corner." And there were films with 2 endings. There would be the scary ending or the mild ending, and you could hold up glow-in-the-dark cards to vote.
Wow.
And nobody ever voted for the mild ending. They always voted for the
I think
scary
I
one.
probably would have voted for the mild ending.
Yeah, I definitely would have. I can't be doing scary films.
I don't like scary
You
films.
probably wouldn't have gone, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although, oddly, I went to see Scream in
Yes.
the cinema, and it got to me. And it got to me because it's so, you know, it's like a joke about a horror film, and you can tell they're playing games with something scary is going to happen, but it will happen at some point in the next 3 to 27 seconds. And that area of doubt is what's so unbearable. And so I hated it, but then I thought, but I think it's quite well done, so I'll go and see it again. It was just as bad the next time. And when I saw the film about sharks that become super intelligent.
Sharknado.
They became so intelligent they can swim backwards, which, you know, it's not saying much, but anyway, that gives
That
them...
frightened you?
It means if someone shits in their face, they can back out of the situation. But that frightened me so much. I had to tell myself, these aren't sharks, these are submarines.
And did you say this out loud
To the
in
audience.
the cinema?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of whispered it to the people I was there with. It was
That is a
important to me
unique
that they
coping
should know.
strategy.
Yes. It's not even a very good film. I thought I'm being made miserable by something second-rate.
It's not very